What's up, guys? This is BS for Build. I'm Chris. I'm super stoked. It's time for the Plan B. We're back on the Plan B. And we are working on this pillar right here. It's dented in, and we need to move it out about an inch to get our quarter panel skin on here and be able to put the door hook, latch, striker on here in the right spot and have our door shut. So we got two things. We got some cheap thing from Harbor Freight that shoots a flame that we're going to use to heat up metal, and we got a stud welder from Harbor Freight as well that welds studs into this thing, and then you can pull on them. So that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to scrape some of this paint off of here with the grinder real quick, get some good contact points, pull this stud gun out, and zap some studs onto this thing and try and pull them out. Stay tuned. Alright, well, I went ahead and with the wire wheel, wire brush, got rid of some of this paint around these areas. I got my stud welder. As with a lot of things on here, I have never used this tool before, but more or less you throw a stud in here, press it up against here so you have a grounded point, hit the button, and it's going to zap a stud on there. So I'm about to give that my first try in a second, and I'm going to start up here where there's a decent sized crease, and I'm going to zap a stud right in the middle, and we're going to try and pull it out. Alright, well, our first attempts unfortunately didn't really do much. The metal wasn't really, metal's really smooth because I used a wire brush, so the studs didn't stick at all. So what I did was I came back with the angle grinder and just like really scuffed up the area, and I'm going to give this another shot. Well, I can confidently say that that is not on there very well. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that popped it off. Okay, well, as you can see here, I switched down a gauge on the studs, and I was able to get something to stick. So the next thing I'm going to do is throw this on just as a test and see how we do with trying to pull some dents out. That, back like that so it grips. And I'm really assuming this stud's just going to pop off of here, but we'll give it a shot. There goes that one. And there goes that one. So my thought is that this metal is just way too heavy duty for this type of work. I mean, the contact area is not large enough in any way to really be able to take that much force to pull something like this out. So it was a worthy try, I guess, but this is not the right tool for the job. This metal is way too tough. Well, it's looking to me like it's time for Plan B on the Plan B, and that was quick. It was like an hour into build day. But here's the next plan. I got to get this thing bent out somehow or another, so I want to do it the most correct way as I can. So with that stud puller not working, I think I'm going to make a cut with my cutting blade right along here on this crease here, and the most important one is going to be this crease here. So I'm going to cut along these creases, and I don't know what I'm going to do about this yet. This is not really going to affect much. It's just a dent. So structurally it's all fine. I don't know if I want to mess with that yet. We may worry about that later. So I'm going to make a cut here and a cut here. That will really relieve a lot of pressure when this tries to get pulled out. And then once I make those cuts, I'm probably going to try and heat up the metal with our torch, and then push with our hydraulic ram and push this metal back out. Then hopefully I can hammer this straight and then weld it back together. Well, so far so good. I've got a cut along the line of this crease here, and a little bit of a bummer. I did realize, like, after I made this cut, that if everything folds back to the way it's supposed to be, it's going to be really hard to get all this metal to join back up to weld it back together. But I'll get enough parts of it to go back together. Anyways, got a cut here. I was thinking about popping out these are like the machined tacks. But actually, when I start pressing on this, I want this to kind of hold itself in down here, so I'll have kind of another point of pressure, and I want to push out to come flush. So the other thing I did was remove the seatbelt spindle from down here for two reasons. One is it's gonna get hot in here when I start blowtorching. I don't want to get that damaged. But for two, it actually gives me access to this area, so now I can actually press directly on this piece of metal, which is something that we haven't done yet before. Last time we were just trying to shift the whole pillar, so now I'm going to be pushing directly on this piece of metal, and I'm pretty excited. So I'm going to get that hydraulic ram in here, get the crossbar set up just like last time, going from that side over to this side, or we might be able to go from the tunnel. But anyways, whatever's safest that I can figure out, I'm going to go from there and start pushing against this, as well as spark up that torch, just to lightly heat the metal here, hopefully make it a little bit more malleable. I'm pretty excited, actually. I think that I have, for the first time, a decent shot at getting this thing bent back out, at least a little bit. So, fingers crossed. Okay, it's not often I do this, but this tool is badass. Must have for every shop, barbecue, picnic. Check this out. Just put a little cheapo propane tank in here. Da-da-da. Bang! Hell yeah, man. This is awesome. I'm taking this everywhere. I'm bringing this to work tomorrow. We've got our hydraulic jack in a really good spot. We're using that cross member across the way over there. I tried to use this center tunnel, but that did not work at all. Anyways, that goes back straight through to here and onto a really good pressure point. Right about here is where we're landing. So I'm quite excited to give this a shot. Next step, I'm going to get that blowtorch ready and heat up that metal and then press that thing out. Well, this is really exciting because for the first time stuff's actually happening. So you can see, if you look right through that hole, you can see a little red. That's the hydraulic jack pushing through from the back, through the back. It's pushed our pillar out, and it looks, visually it looks pretty good. You can definitely see that this dent is less than it was there before, and you can see this huge gap that it's created where we cut the metal. And under here you can see this is another piece of the frame that goes up through here, and that's what you see through there. So we really are trying to push this whole thing out, and that's why I was trying to warm up the metal pretty much everywhere and just kind of try and coax it into bending. On the other side, it's actually squared up real nicely. This metal is heavy gauge. It's hard to bend around. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the quarter panel skin and rest it on here and mock it up and see if it matches this roof line and it matches our stuff back here. How do the holes line up, and are we close enough? I tested shutting the door, and the door looks pretty good. It'd be great to get another ½ inch, but I just don't know if we're gonna get it. And one good thing is we were able to hammer out this crease, so when the stuff does bend back, it's not gonna be as, bending back right here. Because when we release this, everything's gonna kind of shift back about 1/4 inch or so. So, I'm gonna test that skin now. Alright, this is actually holding itself on there. So what I want to show you is I wasn't able to press it up against there, but I am able to get it here, and you can see that there's a parallel line kind of leading through here. So that's a good sign. That's what we really want to be seeing. So that means that we don't have much more to go to push this thing out. So I'm going to, kind of press it to the max. I'm going to push it out as far as I can with this hydraulic jack and press it a little bit more, because we will get about 1/4 inch bend back. And then we'll use the jack to press out the bottom dented bits a little bit as well. Alright guys, there's reason to celebrate here. So at this level right here, I put the striker back in. You got a little bit of room around the door, just as much as you would want really. The glass is not touching the frame because we got another layer of skin on here, and then we got gasketing. We click our door open and we're off. Come back in, and right about, well, I can't hear when it clicks, but anyways, it's clicking before, we don't have to press it all the way to the frame to get a click. We're clicking right about here with like enough room for our hand to slide in here, and then there's some play here. So this is good. This means that we have the frame out far enough that we can click the door in. So I'm very stoked. The next thing that needs to be done is to keep some safety and structural security onto this. I'm going to start welding, and I'm going to just FYI, I have a terrible welder and my welding skills are garbage. I have not got to spend enough time welding in my life. But anyways, I'm gonna start welding up these seams so we have some of our structural rigidity back in the event of another accident. it'd be best to have this welded back together. Although it won't be seen by anybody, of course that's not what we're going for. We're just trying to get it structurally a little bit safer. So I'm gonna start welding some of this stuff and doing a little bit of hammering. Unfortunately, it is getting really late and I can't do too much super loud hammering. Like I said, this metal is really, really tough. So I can't hammer too hard and too long, but I'll get started on it, and it looks like this side's gonna be a little bit better for that, and start welding this stuff up. All right guys, well today happened to be a short day unfortunately, but huge success. I'm really excited. We got this thing bent back straight. I tested out my welder. I zapped some shit down here. It's I just put new wire in it and everything, and it's running good. But unfortunately I gotta clock out. I gotta go home and package up a ton of t-shirts. Thank you guys all very much for the support. I'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna be doing a bunch of welding. I'm so stoked. This is awesome. Well, it's a new day. I'm back. It's not too late to do hammering anymore, so it's time to hammer and tack. Hammer and tack as much of this back together as I can to regain a little bit of structural stability, and then we'll start working on placing that quarter panel skin on here. Alright, so I got that welded up as far as I could get it to weld up. At some point, it's just the metal wasn't going to connect anymore because this part's a little bit bent out. And that's going to be alright though. I did the best I could. It's plenty structurally sound. It'll be alright. So the next thing that we have is, so we painted it so that wouldn't cover in rust. The next thing we have are all of these little spots where we drilled out the spot welds. These need to be ground down flush so our new quarter panel can lay down flush, meet up with the surface flush. So got a grinding bit on our little cutoff wheel, and well, it's not a bit, grinding disc, and then I'm just gonna go through all around the whole car and get all of these down to flush. It's gonna take a little bit, but it'll be worth it. Everything is coming along nicely. It didn't take long at all to grind down all these high points and the little bits of paint that were left over around them. So we've got the car jacked up a little bit too, so we got plenty of room to work down here, because remember we got a bunch of spots down here that need to be welded as well. So the next step is to get the quarter panel and start mock fitting it. And we need to figure out where we're going to cut it, as well as we're going to need to cut some backing plates here. And put them in here and weld them up to this piece, so when we bring the new piece in, it sets on top of another piece, so we can weld to it as well as weld them together. So we need a little bit of backing metal in there, material. I also have the 18 gauge sheet metal if I want to do that, but I would rather do it out of the same metal that the car is made out of, just so the heat, temperature, and everything else like that don't warp and mold and everything the same rate. So that's the next step, and hopefully it will be somewhat painless. Alright, so we've cut our other piece over there. It should be right to length, and this is what I was talking about the piece that needs to go in the middle. So what I did is I just cut the next closest piece off. So I cut here, took that chunk off of right here, and what we're going to try and do is we're going to modify this piece so I can now, and I can't do it yet because I haven't actually modified it yet, but it's pretty close. I'll cut the bottom off of this, we'll slide it behind this piece, pop a couple holes in this piece where we'll use that drill bit that we had before, right here, here, and here. We'll slide this piece behind it and then weld it in here. Then our new piece comes in on top of it, do the same process over there, and then we'll weld the seam. At least that's the idea in theory. I've never done this before.
I'ma fight till the day that I die. Swear to God that I put that on my life, and I'ma try my best to love forever, true and lying. I'm a spaz, baby, I'm a nightin'. I'm a glide, take off and fly, yeah. If you wanna stun me, nigga, keep on trying.
Okay, well these came out what I would consider all right. Now keep in mind we have the cheapest welder you can buy from Harbor Freight. One thing that I should have done that I didn't really remember was that you know, warping of this panel is still important. So I kept thinking like, oh, it doesn't matter, like a little bit of warping on this thing is not a big deal. But so I should have gone slower and spaced them more. I shouldn't have gone here, here. Should have gone kind of like here, then here, then here, then here, then here, or something. Spaced it out, given it more time because I don't want to heat warp this thing. But so we got a little bit of contact. We don't have full contact around all these holes, but that doesn't really matter. All we're trying to do is hold this little guy in place, and it's definitely in there. So Now I'm going to repeat the same process on the bottom here, and then start test fitting our quarter panel. Just finished up on this bottom section here. It turned out way better than the top section. So a couple takeaways from this is, first of all, do your learning on the bottom section where it's a lot less visible than the top section. But also I used a smaller drill bit, and I drilled my holes first, and then I just came back, welded in and then grinded around that hole rather than grinding the whole area and deciding where I want to drill. So just drill the holes first, mark and drill the holes first, then grind around them so you can get a good contact with the weld, and then weld in them. Turned out way better than the one up top. So I'm happy about that. It's progress. I'm learning. Alright guys, moment of truth time. It's time to get that quarter panel skin and start mocking it up here, grabbing the vice grips and the clamps and getting it in place, trimming any excess we might have on here. Hope it's excess and we're not coming up short. Alright guys, she fits. She fits really good. So we erred on the side of having a little bit of extra material, so there's a little bit extra that needs to be trimmed here. We're about dead set here, a little bit of modifying, and then this top rail has a little modification that needs to be done. But I don't have time to do that anymore. It is very late. So that's going to be the end of this episode. In the next episode, I mean, this is coming together really fast, and I'm really excited. So we got the whole weekend to work on it for the next episode, and I really think that by the end of the next episode, we'll have this thing completely welded up on here. And I'm just really happy, you know, welding some of this metal and stuff. It's been going great, and I'm very excited, very motivated. You can find us at facebook.com/bsforbuild, bsforbuild.com, and Instagram. We are bsforbuild on Instagram. It's time for Plan B t-shirt, still available on the store. Check it out. Go to bsforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop. There's this shirt, our other shirt, tons of stuff, our hats, key tags. Anything that you guys buy on the shop goes directly into supporting our builds, and I want to thank everybody that's bought this shirt and supported the channel. It's been very great, and thank you guys very much for that. I'm stoked. I'm really excited. I'm having a blast working on this car right now, so this is cool. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please remember to like the video and subscribe. Peace.